fighting gravity today. Feels good. We're almost at the top to where I want to begin my explore. As you can see, we're up there. Oh, it is a perfect New Hampshire morning. Okay, we are actually going that way, but we're gonna go over here for a minute or so to see the view. Yeah, this is where we are at. So, if you have no clue as to what I'm doing, because you just tuned in, I'm gonna go out and follow some of the ancient walls here. The classic New England walls. For those of you who have been watching, you know I've been exploring and metal detecting the old squares, the rock-lined squares, looking for home sites, which we have found a couple of colonial sites. That is on the other side. I've taken this old trail up way over because I want to get up top and see if I can get down. Now, the other day I had said about this mountaintop where the old farms go up to, that's where we're at, and I actually said you couldn't walk over the other side. Let me show you. So yes, all our old home sites are miles, probably a couple miles on that side. But yes, if you were to go all the way up over the top and get to here, you can't do it. It just drops. It is a wall. That is actually quite awesome. Alright, let me back up here. And so we are currently at just under 1,400 feet. And we're going to proceed that way. I think we have a pretty long way to go, actually. So what I'm hoping to do from the very top here to our west is find the back stone walls of those old home sites we've been at, well, realistically for several years, but in recent videos I just am not sure how far up I have to go and over to the west. I mean, you never know. Those old grid squares could literally come right up over the edge. Well, only one way to find out. Check. Half an hour, a little bit over a mile. Not bad for mountain hiking. My guess is I've got to get somewhere between the 1 and 2 mile range to reach those properties that come up this way. Unless we see some wall beforehand, but I doubt it because of the angle. I know this trail comes in over from to get in that direction. Either way, this is good. All this just to get to the back of the old square. It's that burly over there. It's kind of like what I did a month or so ago, but I came in from the other side end to end, that's 4 miles. So you can understand why I'm coming in from the other side this time. It is amazing, I'm still going up. Wow. Check again. This has a toppity top feel to it. Almost 1,900 feet. Yeah, so I've gone up 500 on this side. And that's about what I guessed from the topos from the other side a few videos back. Wow, it actually doesn't feel that bad. Huge difference when you got a nice trail. You don't have your detecting gear, so machine, shovel, pinpointer, pouch full of oxen shoes. Extra batteries. I dumped all that stuff before I left, so easily 15 pounds that I don't have with me. And good news. Ah, where does that one go? We have wall finally. Excellent. So that is pointing east, heading off the cliff, which we don't want to go that way, but we do want to go that way. Makes you wonder how far that wall goes if it continues on. Probably. Oh yeah, that's thick. Actually, let me double check something. Just under 2 miles. That's what I figured. About midway point from where I came in a month ago and today, and the guesstimation of where I usually am. Huh. That should be fun. But hopefully we can go up here a ways and find the back of a wall. Wow, look at this. It's just crazy. Oh, well, that's something. The wall heading down into our farm squares definitely ends. So that's where we just came from. Up there. Useless. Senseless wall. Open-ended. Well, let me put myself on the trajectory And just continue. Nothing yet, but the horizon is opening up to the side that we are used to seeing. This is our side. Oh, there it is. I think we got the back corner of one of our home sites. Nice. You can see it through the trees, but there is a pretty hefty wall, and I think we're actually looking right at a T in the wall. Let's get down there. Nice. So, as I trip, this is where we were trying to get to, well, in quite a few videos recently. So, back corner, gorgeous wall. Wait till you see this thing. Wait till I see this thing. Fantastic. And so we're actually on the other side. That's our side. And that wall keeps going. So, is there another square that goes beyond it? I don't know. And just like I pointed out the other day, the base layer of rocks is buried. These walls are taller than they appear, at least around here, no doubt. You can see it's pretty substantial. So this, I know for a fact, is one of the 200-acre squares. So it's half a mile on each leg, 2 miles. And I've been doing something recently while I'm out here. And this is food for thought for the megalithic stone wall people, or anybody else who might care. The magnetic declination for where we are in New Hampshire currently is at negative 13 degrees. So, from true north. I've been checking the walls out here. The one we first found was at 4, negative 4. This one behind us is at negative 3. You know, it's a rough guesstimate with the compass watch, but it's far enough off to make you think. The people who settled in these squares were mid to late 1800s, and the declination history for that era puts it somewhere in the 8 to 10 range. So if you were using a compass to make these celestially perfect, the east to west walls are spot on. That's something to think about. So I'm not crazy. No super wild ideas, but I do see a lot of strange things out here. And I'm reporting what I see. That rock right there is massive. Thousands of pounds. And that one. Oh my God. It is, it has to be 5 feet in depth. So remember a few videos back I gave you the factoid of granite is 163 pounds per cubic square foot. Well, it's 5 that way, it's 8 that way, and that's definitely a foot. So do the math. So what is that, like 2,600 pounds roughly? 5 by 8, and it's at least, it's more than a foot in that section. Who knows how big that one is. Again, observe and report. And it's on top of 2 rocks. I wanted to point that out. It's not ground level. Okay. Now, we have confirmed there is in fact a back corner of at least that place. Now, the continuation wall, I'm going to follow it for a bit because eventually I will have to go that way for the return trip, but let's see where this ends up. Still going. Oh wow, okay. Even from a distance back here, I think I can see it corners. But before we get to the corner, holy mackerel, check this out. Seriously. So why would you put that much time into this little section? Damn. Yeah, that was weird. Alright, so there's our corner, and that's the end. It does not continue in the direction we were just going. And actually that was not very far. So we left the back of the massive proper square, and this is just a smaller section above it onto the tippity top of the ridgeline. That is a whole lot of wall. And then it just goes, you know, back that way, squaring off. So the 2 sites that we have found on the other side, everything dug was right around the Revolution to a bit afterwards. It was actually a pretty tight window of maybe 20 years, it seems, with the things we found. But the sites were quaint. The cellar holes were puny. They were like 10 feet square, barely rock lined, no wells on either site, no barns, and they barely moved any of the stones, you know, improvement around the living space outside from the home. But yet they had the time to do all this. 2 miles of wall per square, never mind clearing it, building the house, eating, surviving, you know, stuff like that. I honestly think a lot of these settlers moved into these squares. And the whole declination thing is definitely something to think about because it doesn't line up with the window of occupation for the declination history that I looked up. And then on that side, I have found 2 loggers camps right at the tail end of the 1800s to just over 1900, which means if you back it up, that would make sense with the abandonment of those home sites and then the grow back. So if they were logging it, it was full-grown forest, and these hills were not full of sheep like people are always talking about. At least where we've been working in this area, in what I call the grid, because this grid is different than when you go that way to the east and definitely to the west. It is different, no doubt. There's just too much stuff that just does not make sense, and I'm not on board with thinking like some people do that, you know, this stuff was built 10,000 years ago. Nothing like that, but settlers definitely hit the continent 200 years before they supposedly made it up here. That's a pretty big window. Were they surveyors who did it? Were they early settlers who just took the initiative and made their way out here? And it is pretty clear that when you get down into these massive megalithic squares, so if you have 200 acres like that, and then you have this little itty bitty cellar hole, what we find is they're celestially perfect, east to west, and then whatever the declination of the compass was at the time. But inside of the squares, you can clearly see what the farmers or settlers did, because the walls are, they're not done by compass by any means. They follow the land. They can be rounded. And there's one guy that lives over there. He was all over the place. There's like stitches of wall in the middle that go off. So you can see what the farmer did. You can see all the small stones that they dug out and they moved into their walls. And you can see little improved places. But it doesn't match that. And it's not a boundary marker. A lot of people also say, well, it was to mark their land. I can tell you for a fact that a lot of these squares don't actually match the charter map. And the 2 sites over there, the town line goes right through the middle. So it doesn't match that. Doesn't match the grid, doesn't match the town line. It's just 200 after 200 after 200 and so on for miles. Again, brain food. All right, 2 miles back. Should make for a nice hike. And I'm glad I got to the tail end of that. And glad to share with you guys some thoughts. Because at this point, I have been exploring these hills and all the walls for 20 years. But detecting 13 years of it. But you know, after 20 years, you really start to add things up. And that's all I do. I walk it, I think about it, I map it, and I take you guys along the way, show you what I see, and then let you think about it. It is mysterious in a lot of places. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And keep thinking about it.